competitive red zone stuff. That red zone competitive period went for 5 drives, which was some great work, and saw some good things on both sides of the ball. And again, it was just one further look to get a chance to see some guys. We didn't tackle tonight. We're at the point now we need to keep our guys healthy and keep them ready to play here 2 weeks from today. We'd be walking off the field right now from that first game is what the feeling will be. And so, right now we're just going to make sure we keep our guys healthy and still get some quality work in.
How difficult is it, Zach, to not have officials, even, in something like that? I mean, that's a tough dynamic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Doug Rosfeld can't win. Offense is mad at him, defense is mad at him. He's but again, those guys do a great job for us, and that is a little bit of the hard part of it. You got the crowd murmur, so we got a good feel for what that noise is going to be like, and it is enough to where you can't communicate really well, from someone who's 15 feet away from you. You got to be up close, and so. There's a lot of shouting and no one really understands what you're saying. So you got to utilize the headsets. And so that part was interesting.
How would you assess Joe's performance today?
Go ahead, Bill. I saw you talking. I'll come back to you, Ben.
Just thoughts on Joe Burrow's effort tonight?
Yeah, I thought it was solid. There were some good things, and I noticed some drops. We got to do a better job catching the ball. That's one thing that really stood out. And really, there was a game winner there in that red zone drill. That would have been a walk-off touchdown there to win the game, and we didn't get it. And so those are some things we got to clean up. Overall, these scrimmages are good. Having the stadium with the play clock and my communication, can improve as well to the quarterback. So it's good to kind of get some of those kinks out of the way early. Go ahead, Ben.
Well, that was kind of my question, but also I guess on that pick by Jesse Bates, I mean, how would you rule that? Is that an interception? Is that PI? How do we view that?
Couldn't see. That's the one area I have no vision on whatsoever. So I wasn't clear on if it was an interception or a drop or what exactly happened. I'll have to check the tape to know.
Sorry about that. What did you think of Joe's decision making, especially on some of the scramble stuff where maybe he put a ball just a hair too far for guys, but it was in the spot where really the receiver was the only guy that was going to have a chance at a couple of those?
There's some things that you can clean up there, but it's encouraging. There's some possibilities for some explosive plays that are off schedule. And that's always exciting to add to your offense. Sometimes you don't call the perfect play, and when your quarterback's able to extend it and guys are in phase with him and can create those plays down the field, that's a great quality to have.
The first touchdown to Tyler, did that count? The first touchdown to Tyler Boyd, or did he juggle it, or was it good?
I was calling the plays on offense, and I was right there on the sideline, so that was a touchdown in my eyes. Maybe if I was on the other sidelines, I wouldn't have seen it that way, but that's the way I ruled it.
Zach, how important was getting clarity with the linebacker room in tonight's scrimmage? And is that a little harder to do without tackling? Do you feel like you learned a little bit about that position group tonight?
It's hard without tackling. There's no question. But the one thing we can see and grade them on is the communication, getting lined up, getting in line, getting other people around them lined up, being in the right gap when you're supposed to be there. Obviously, the tackling portion of itself is going to be live and in person here in 2 weeks. But have been impressed with the job that Al has done with those guys, and they're all as advertised. It's a really competitive room right now, and there's obviously roles for several of those guys.
Pratt has looked real comfortable in pass coverage. I mean, tonight he ran, with deep ball down the field. He's done it a couple times at training camp. I mean, he looks real comfortable, in his pass coverage and running with people well down the field.
I apologize. What was the name you said? I missed the name. Pratt. Yeah. I mean, all of our guys have stepped up. The guys that were here last year, Pratt was a rookie last year. He's not playing like a rookie this year. He stepped up and made the strides he needed to make. And so again, he's when you're calling plays on the offense, it's a little bit hard to get a great assessment of the defense right now until we get a chance to walk through it. But been impressed with the way that those linebackers have made strides all camp.
How did you feel the O-line played, Coach, or do you need to look at the tape?
Yeah, there's obviously some challenges going against our defensive line. So when the 1-0 is going against the 1D, as a play caller, it certainly affects the way you think when you see some of those guys we got up front. And so again, there's some things we're going to have to clean up. And again, there were some big positives there. We got some nice runs and had some time on some of those throws that got extended plays. They did a good job covering up the guys so Joe could move around a little bit. So again, they're just as usual, there's some good and some bad there.
Which running back impressed you the most tonight?
Yeah, again, the linebackers and the running backs are the hardest ones to assess, but I noticed some good things from all of them, and I thought Samaje had some nice, strong runs. He hit the hole quickly. Travion and Jaquez did some good things as well, and we got Gio a couple things in there early. So, overall, that group has been on the up and up.
The drop tonight, do you credit that to, mental execution? Was that just defense making a nice play, getting involved, or?
There were certainly some instances where there's some tight coverage, and those defenders made the plays on a lot of those 50-50 passes, and oftentimes they had their back to the quarterback and the receivers going up to make the play, and the defense came out the winner on a lot of those. And then a couple of them were just drops, and so again, we'll get a better picture of that when we see it on tape, but that part was a little disappointing.
I was wondering what you thought about the protection. I was wondering what you thought about the protection on that last when Joe was when the offense was going in for the win. I was wondering what your thought was on the protection, on the pass protection.
Got one more than we can handle, so ball's gonna have to come out.
Looks like from a protection standpoint, running backs are doing a pretty good job in blitz pickup. All of them seem to be pretty squared up and getting after a little bit.
That's Jamal harps on that like crazy. If you want carries, you got to be able to protect in the pass game, and that's been a big point of emphasis this entire training camp. And there's certainly some moments where the linebackers get the better of them and some of those safeties, but overall, been impressed with the progress the running backs have made in pass protection.
Zac, you had a quick moment on the sideline before the scrimmage got started with Joe Mixon. Do you have a timeline on when you'd like Joe back on the field?
Just working back when he starts to feel better. And so it was good to see him around. And I can't tell who's talking to me. Someone must be wearing a mask or something. To locate who was asking me a question. Looks like everyone's muted and everyone had a mask. So I was confused there.
It's Danaman. I'm on a computer, coach, that doesn't allow me to show video. So I apologize.
Got it. Okay.
It looked like Joe Mixon was helping you try to call plays there for a little bit. Just how much of a positive sign was it to have him out there, even though he wasn't taking part?
He's always got great energy, and so it reminds me of last training camp during those preseason games, when he was getting a lot of carries and he was right there next to me. But, Joe's always upbeat and has great energy.
Zac,
Do you expect him back anytime soon?
We'll take it day to day with Joe.
Zac, I know this is going to sound like a very stupid question here, but have you seen enough from Joe Burrow to feel like you feel comfortable where he's going to be the unquestioned starter for Week 1?
Yes.
What about what you've seen over the first 2 scrimmages gives you that comfort that you need?
It's command of the offense, leadership in the huddle, understanding of what he's got to do to move this offense, his competitiveness, his urgency. Certainly there's areas to clean up. There's no question about that, but he's got a great grasp. Just going over the call sheet with him today before the scrimmage, we're in sync in terms of how we see things and think of things. And, we haven't had a chance to be on the field too much together, but it is important to start to see things the same way. And so I really feel like we're making a lot of progress in that direction. So he's just been impressive. He's what we expected when we took him number 1 overall. Hasn't disappointed one day he's been out there.
Obviously, no AJ tonight. Would you anticipate him on Thursday when you scrimmage again, or are you good to go with him now?
We'll see. It'll be day to day, and we won't scrimmage on Thursday. It'll end up being more of a mock game. Again, just as we think about the best way to be ready for next Sunday. We'll get 3 days of practice in this week, but Thursday night will not end up being a scrimmage. It'll just be a mock game to work through some of the mechanics of playing our stadium, going through warm-ups and all that stuff.
Tonight, Coach, the numbers weren't huge. I mean, it looked like 10 offensive linemen were available. Looked like 7 defensive backs, 4 wide receivers. You didn't have a ton of bodies out there. Mm-hmm. You got a lot of guys, a lot of snaps, though, obviously.
Yeah, a lot of guys got good work, and they're going to be tired. In the first game, they're going to be tired, and that's the biggest thing we stress to them is getting used to these drives on offense and defense, these long drives. We need your best when it gets down in the low red zone. So I think it's a good experience for these guys to have to go through that tonight.
Coach, I noticed John Ross had a thicker arm brace or sleeve than he had in practice. Is that still okay, and you just left him out for precautionary reasons, or has anything changed?
Yeah, just for precautionary reasons.
And then as far as wide receivers go, Mike Thomas continues to stand out and show he has a good rapport with Joe Burrow. What have you seen from him over the past couple of weeks, and how impressed are you?
I've seen it the last 3 years. He's an explosive guy. He's got good knowledge of our offense. And so he's quarterback friendly receiver, and so again, he had another nice day tonight, but he's had a really strong training camp so far.
Any more for Coach?
Coach, and anybody on the back end, any defensive back, when you call the play and you're looking at things as a former quarterback, any defensive back stick out to you? Like, you mentioned William Jackson, during the scrimmage on Friday, he jumped out at you. Anybody jump out at you tonight that made some plays?
All those guys have had their moments, and they got some tough tests in front of them. We got a receiving core that will really stress you. And so, there's going to be times they give up plays. But again, tonight, when we go back and watch the tape and see who was a part of those contested incompletions, because most of them were incompletions. And so, overall, I just thought the DBs were tight in coverage. They made the plays that came their way. And, each one of them has shown some nice flashes.
It looked like Tony Brown had a good night. He had 2 near interceptions. You would probably like to see those picked off, though.
Tony made some nice breaks on the ball. And again, that is the biggest thing we need to see from those corners is just finishing the play. And we'll get there. But again, they're getting hands on the football right now, which is encouraging to see. And now we just got to do a great job finishing those.
Real quick, how would you describe Ryan Finley's development from last year to this offseason?
Yeah, he's got a much better grasp of the offense, and I was impressed with him last year with how he picked it up, especially those weeks he had to play, in his preparation during those game weeks. And, it wasn't always the best situation for him. It was tough to play quarterback in those circumstances oftentimes. And I always feel like he gets a bad rap for a lot of that stuff. But he's gone about his business. He's not fazed by anything. He's poised and ready to play. He knows he's one snap away. And so just really impressed by the way he goes about his work, his knowledge of the offense, the questions he asks. He's really, in his second year, he's really become an NFL quarterback from the mental standpoint of things. And so just again, feel like we got a great number 2 there.
Joe Burrow starts out 0 for 3, not really all his fault. There was a drop, at least one there that I can recall. But, man, he just seems to stay put. And he doesn't panic. He just stays poised. I think he completed like 7 or 8 in a row after that.
Poise is a middle name. I guess that's one way to put it. It's not much phases him. Probably the thing that gets him the most is when he feels like the errors on his own. To not duplicate the same mistake twice. But again, he's a competitive guy, and we expect him to lead this offense to a lot of points.
Any more for Coach?
Thank you all.
Yep. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.